What is a hero? A mythological figure, often of divine descent, endowed with great strength or ability? An illustrious warrior? No. It's a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, one who shows great courage. Welcome to the What's a Hero podcast, where we dive deep into what a hero is and what makes them that hero. I'm your host, Ken Frownfelter, and I'm going to be introducing you to some of the world's most likely and unlikely heroes. You may have never heard of them before, and they most likely have never met you, but they all have one thing in common. They are ready to do whatever it takes to help make you better, even if it means sacrificing everything for you. Let's get into it.
This is episode 63 of the What's a Hero podcast with me, Ken Frownfelter.
It's perfectly healthy to take pride in the good that we've done. Still, it's crucial we don't do those good deeds just for the sake of rewarding our egos. John Wayne as Tom Donovan and James Stewart as Ransom Stoddard in the 1962 The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance share the common goal of bringing the outlaw Liberty Valance, played by Lee Marvin, to justice. Initially, though, they disagree on the means of doing so. Stoddard, an attorney with political aspirations, believes in bringing down Valance via the legal system, while the rugged rancher Donovan insists the violent wrongdoer can only be stopped by brute force. Realizing he may find himself face to face with Valance, Stoddard practices his marksmanship under Donovan's tutelage. Stoddard and Valance eventually end up in a standoff, and when the lawyer becomes wounded, he fires a retaliatory shot and Valance falls to the ground dead. Viewed as a hero by the townspeople, Stoddard is nominated to be a delegate in Washington, D.C., though his belief that he killed a man in a gunfight causes him to reconsider. Donovan privately reveals to Stoddard that he was actually the one who shot the fatal shot from a nearby alley, assuring Stoddard of his innocence and allowing him to accept the nomination. Donovan was never looking for a pat on the back. He simply did what was right by saving Stoddard's life. And by saving his life, Donovan also saved Stoddard's reputation, as the attorney later had a successful career in government based largely on his accolade of being the man who shot Liberty Valance. Sometimes even more good can come from refusing to take credit. And the reason I'm reading that today is because, and that's from a book called Everything I Need to Know I Learned from John Wayne. I've mentioned this book before. I've referred to it. And the title of that outtake, that portion of the book is called Do the Right Thing for the Right Reason. And that's the idea of today's podcast, is doing that right thing for that right reason. And, we meet people throughout our careers, throughout our lives, that may not understand that thing, that may not understand that you just do what's right. And we call it integrity. We know what integrity is. If you're listening to this, if you don't know what integrity is, once again, doing the right thing for the right reason. And I talk to a lot of people on here who have done that. And they may say, once again, well, I'm not a hero or whatever, but you're doing it because of the right reason. And the other question that I like to ask people is what their why is. And you've heard me have conversations with people and explain stories about people that they have to develop their why. And you might have to develop your why also. But if you're doing what you're doing for the right reason, your why is going to coincide with that, and it's going to work out. And that's going to help your mindset. It's going to help your heart. It's going to help you when you have to do something hard or tough. It's going to help you understand that you're doing it, that you're able to continue doing it, and you're going to feel okay about it when it's said and done, especially if you have to, let's say, take a life or something along those lines. You're going to be okay with it, that what you've done was done right before the right reason. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I've got a guest on today who is a 30-year veteran of the Broward County Sheriff's Office. And throughout his career, he struggled with all sorts of different things, whether it was alcoholism, addiction, adultery, PTSD, thoughts of suicide, whatever. But he took those experiences and developed a leadership program from that, knowing that what he has to do, he's doing for the right reason. And he's doing that to share that with other guys and girls, law enforcement, first responders who are struggling and still fighting that fight. Because just because you're a police officer doesn't mean you're immune to those things that are always trying to suck us in. His whole thing is personal, professional, financial, physical, and mental health are all, intertwined, and they're all focused. And so he takes a proactive initiative to try to start a conversation to remove those stigmas and help people with the difficult things. And we've talked to people on here who've had, maybe a major trauma incident or something along those lines. And by doing that, their struggle, but where is that internal struggle? Where are they internally struggling? It's hard to see that because it's internal. However, he takes that same approach that we talk about on here, the if not me, then who? Because it's the right thing to do. So without any further ado, I want to welcome to the show, Mr. John Kelly. Thank you so much for coming on today. How are you, sir?
Hey, Ken, brother. Thank you. Doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm really, really happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, you do so much stuff still after 30 years, you retire and you're like, yep, I'm not done. I still have more to give because there's people that need me. Correct?
Yeah. I said this the other day, this thing of ours, right? You'd like to leave it better than you found it.
Right.
And that's the goal, right? Is that, and through that journey, man, I realized that we were doing so much of what we were doing, so much of what we were training our people on, was wrong. We weren't focusing our efforts and energies on the things that I felt truly mattered. And blessed career, spent some time in training, a considerable amount of time in training. And inevitably at the end of training, Ken, we'd have guys, not just milling about, right? Hanging out in the parking lot, not wanting to go home. And normally when you cut people loose from training, they're crashing into each other trying to get out of there.
Right. Or they're giving that guy the glance across the room, like, why are you asking more questions? We're trying to get out of here.
Like, enough, shut up. We're trying to, right. Yeah. And then so when we would, we'd be getting ready to pack up because, when we get everybody out of training, allows us to get rolling a little earlier as well. And inevitably we'd come across guys milling about in the parking lot. And then, it didn't happen once in a blue moon, man. It happened almost every day.
Yeah.
We trained about 25 to 30 guys every day during in-service. And, we would hold counsel out in the parking lot, why are you still here? What's going on? What's up? And, inevitably, the answers that we got revolved around life issues. There's a problem at home. There's a problem with substance abuse. There's a financial issue. There's something's not right. And it doesn't have anything to do with the training we just put on.
Right.
They're not stressing over cutting the pie or how do I enter the room without, which corner do I check first? These aren't questions that they had.
Right.
They were doing that stuff with their eyes closed.
The work stuff, the cop stuff, that's their bread and butter. It's the actual
their eyes closed, right? And the things that were jamming them up, the things that were causing them heartache, the things that were impacting the quality of their life. And then subsequently their performance at work, right? Because everything's related.
Right.
It was the life issues. And, so that was kind of like that aha moment. Like, we don't do any training on the things that really matter.
Right.
We're excellent at checking boxes off. And at the end of the day, checking boxes off doesn't keep guys alive. It doesn't give guys purpose and meaning, and it doesn't enhance, it doesn't add value to their lives. And so when I when I retired, I was like, there's an opportunity here to really do some good. I don't have to stick to any curriculum. I don't have to, nobody's
Right.
telling me what to make the priority.
You can get to the human factor of everything.
That's on me.
Yeah.
I can do
Yeah.
that, right? I don't need I don't have to teach a lesson plan that I think is nonsense.
Right.
I can develop a program that I'm passionate about that I think is going to add value to people's lives. I can do that.
So in addition to all this stuff, you also started a podcast, correct? You've got
Right.
the Law Enforcement Life Coach podcast, correct?
Yeah. Sometimes Heroes Need Help podcast. Yeah. And so it's, truly this second chapter, it has been, I think my wife looks at me sometimes like, hey, enough. Simmer down. We've been together for 30, married for 27. And and she kids with me because I'm always trying to improve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's personally, whether I'm not really good with just the status quo. Whatever the status quo is, my belief is that whatever it is, we can be doing better at it, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a program that I'm developing or a conversation, right?
Right. Yeah. So, well, okay. Well, I mean, there's so much in that. And obviously we have 30 years to go over plus, right? So let's go way before that. Who was little Johnny? What was he doing? Where did he grow up? What was his thing?
Listen, I had a really great, upbringing. With the good and the bad, man. I like to highlight the good, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Everybody can point to a story of things that weren't great in their childhood. And like when you get older, you realize like, well, that was really messed up. That was, but
Yeah.
in the moment, you don't know any better. So it's okay.
Right. Right.
I grew up in the North Shore of Boston, a town called Malden, and mom, dad, sister, and I do the high school athletics and this and that, and everything's cool. Growing up, my dad's an alcoholic, but I'm an alcoholic, so in the moment, it's not a really big deal because there's a lot of rationalizing, unacceptable behavior.
Were you
right?
drinking when you were in school, when you were in high school and stuff like
Oh
that?
God, yeah. I probably started around 10 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, but again, it's like
That
when
was
your
what
dad,
you didn't know any better.
right? Well, listen, one of the things that you and I have talked about, and I'm really big on, is owning it, man. Listen,
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody for anything. 99.9% of everything that ever happened to me in my life was of my making. And because of that, if it was of my making, I could undo it, right?
Right.
But when your dad's an alcoholic, he's never going to check me on my drinking. It's actually comical for him. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
it's I don't know, it was a weird dynamic. I remember one morning at 4 a.m. I was it must have been in high school, and there was a place called Riley's Roast Beef, and
Mhm.
like after you were out drinking all night, like Riley's Roast Beef was open till 4 a.m. and you could go get a hot roast beef and cheese with sauce sandwich, and
Yeah.
it was one of those roast beef sandwiches, man, that I would have drove an hour to get.
Cap the night off.
Oh my
Quite
God, right?
huh?
Fries, a roast beef with sauce and cheese.
Yeah, and
And
when you're 17, you can eat that stuff at no problem
right.
anytime.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. But I remember like distinctly, like one of my buddies like hit me in the side. Hey, I think that's your dad. Like he's half in the bag, like two people ahead of us putting an order in for a sauce and cheese roast beef,
Wow.
It was just, it was just like, oh yeah, what's up, dad? It's like, like you're married, like you should be home, man. You should not be out at 4 a.m. getting a sauce and
Getting
cheese. Yeah. But it was just kind of, but that was it, man. There was never an event that didn't, that alcohol wasn't a huge part of.
yeah.
Um, wh- eh, and high school was a free for all, but even in junior high, um, it was just the way it was. And so that's not obviously a healthy way to grow up, for a lot of different reasons. And so, you deal with that. You don't know what you don't know. And so moving forward, I get out of high school and I got an option. I go to Norwich University, which is a military college up in Vermont.
Mhm.
And it's a really like all the guys that were, wanted to go into the military but wanted college,
Yeah.
that didn't have a hook to go to West Point, Annapolis, or the Air Force Academy,
Ah.
you go to a military college.
Mhm.
Um, because I think it might still be this way. You needed some congressional people like
Yeah,
vouching
you
for
need
you
appointment.
and
Yeah, you need congressional
appointment. And
appointment.
so
Right.
this was like, you know what? I'll go to a college, a military college. I'll choose my branch and I'll get my commission that way. And uh, great friends at Norwich. There's something about going to college and waking up at 5 in the morning to PT and go running in a river when
Yeah.
you're away at college. It's not um, the first year, the first 6 months of it. You're going. All my other friends are like at keg parties and they're whooping it up and
Right.
I'm getting PT'd in the hallway on a Friday night. It's just like what the heck is going on here, man? It just but once we get through that initial stage at military school, um, you get recognized by the Corps, and now it's almost like a regular college. I mean, you've got PT in the morning, personal inspection, room inspection, you form up, you march down to chow, classes all morning, afternoon formation, lunch, classes and sports all afternoon and evening. And then, on top of all that, military bearing and all that. So
Right.
good times, man. A lot of great friends at Norwich. And went through OCS in '87 with the Marine Corps. I was the last class to go through Camp Upshur in Quantico,
Mm.
and came out of there. And I had this option: like, do I go into the military, or do I was a criminal justice major, so kind of at a crossroads.
What was your thing as a kid? What did you want to do? What were you thinking? Were you just thinking I'm going to go become a plumber or something? Or were you thinking I'm going to do the military and I
It
want to
was
be
always one or the other, always serving, always. I had this thing, man, and I think a lot of the guys that go into the military are the same. It's the same mindset that goes the guys that go into law enforcement.
Mhm.
You want to be that tip of the spear. You want to protect people. You want to. You're a problem solver. You don't like injustice. You
Yeah.
know and so those were like some of the driving forces. I had a couple uncles that were. One of them was a Green Beret in Vietnam. The
Mhm.
other flew rescue choppers in Nam, and I really looked to them kind of as role models on how to be right, sacrificing and understanding that there's something bigger than you and all that. So
Because the other option was become a drunk and get sandwiches at 3 in the morning.
yeah, yeah,
I
there
mean,
was
if you're just looking
it,
at your role models, I guess, huh?
yeah, yeah, and like I said, my dad was he was an amazing provider.
Yeah.
He put two kids through college. Um, he worked, he started his own side business. I mean, he hustled. He just as a grown man looking back, he stepped out on my mom. The I think well, I know that in his final days, um, spending some time with him before he passed, um, he deeply regretted some of the life choices that he made.
Yeah.
And, at that point, man, it's hard to get a do-over, man, when you're in the ICU and you've got hours to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might, get it off your chest now, man, because, you know, and so, without getting real heavy and crazy, I know he spoke with my mom before he died, like hours before he died, and I wasn't privy to the conversation, but I know that he made his peace with her, and um, I think at the end of his life, they had become better friends than I think my mother could have ever imagined.
Oh,
Kind of
that's
a
good.
Yeah, I think he was a horrible husband, but I think he made a really good friend to my mom in the latter years of both their lives.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, that was huge. I was kind of a coward, man. I never confronted him on that, like stepping out on my mom, and,
Yeah.
it's kinda one of those things that I don't beat myself up about it too much because there's not a whole hell of a lot I can do about it
No,
right
no,
now,
yeah, right now there's nothing you can do. Yeah, you're
but
right.
I kind of when I got out of college, I boogied, man. I got out of there as quick as I could, and, I kinda left my sister to deal with all the insanity and bullshit at home.
Mhm.
And that's that's a conversation I've had with her, right? Because it's just the two of us now that I my way of dealing with things in conflict was to run away from it
Right.
on a personal level. I was all about getting into conflict if it involved somebody else, right?
Right,
I
but
mean,
personal conflict, different
oh
story.
heck,
Yeah.
hell no, man. I'm not gonna delve into that. I was really good at pretending problems didn't exist. I
Right.
just I just removed myself from the situation. And
Mm.
so kind of with that hindsight, that was those were actions of a coward, really,
Yeah.
Um
And at the time, though, you didn't think about it. It's just like, well, no, this is gonna be a better decision I'm gonna make, and
yeah, I mean
what you make. Yeah.
I loaded up the Hyundai and I moved to Florida for the job. I was like, I'm out. I'll go. I can't be around that environment. It was pretty toxic, but
So did you go in the Marine Corps? Did you go?
no, I graduated from Norwich, and I was looking at the judge advocate program in the Corps,
Mhm.
and you know me a little bit, Ken. I'm not that bright, and I know that's not a shock to you. You didn't fall out of your chair when I said that. Oh no, John. Say
You
it's
gotta be
not
kidding
so.
me.
Oh my God. Valedictorian. Yeah, not so much. And I was like, you know what? Um, maybe I'll go to law school another time. I'm not that bright. I said, I do want to get my hands dirty. I said, let me go into law enforcement and get my feet wet and see where that goes. And at the time, the they weren't hiring in mass, right? I really wanted to be like a mass 80, but things work out for a reason, right? We talk about that.
Mhm.
Um, California, LA County Sheriff's Office, Dallas PD, and Broward County were the three agencies that were putting on like workshops, big hiring campaigns
To get everybody they could, huh?
back in
Yeah.
1990, 89, 90. They were, I mean, holding like all these conferences and big advertisement campaigns to heavily recruiting. And I was like, you know what? I had a nana who had a place in Florida, and she's like, well, I'm not there like 8 months out of the year. So if you want, move to Florida and you can stay at the condo. I'm like, "Hmm."
I just got out of college. I get a free condo to stay
Listen,
in?
and
Yeah.
my mom's side of the family, they did pretty well. So this condo was on North Ocean Boulevard, across the street from the ocean.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I was like, I believe that might be the choice I should make. Yes, I believe I'm going to move to Florida. So,
As opposed to downtown LA, you bet.
oh my, yeah, or some other place where I'd be, in an efficiency, sharing it with three other people, just not
Right.
no bueno. So, yeah, man. So I moved to Florida. Um, I got a job like working at a restaurant. It was so
Mm.
funny. I moved to Florida and I don't know anybody, right? I just moved to Florida and
Right.
I got this place to live, which is great. And I'm going on job interviews and no cop jobs yet. I mean, I'm just trying to find a job that
Make
like
some
pays
money.
bills,
Sure.
right, before I start this noble endeavor. And I remember like walking on, I was so lonely. I was just like walking on the beach. I'd walk up to a girl and I'd be like, "Hey, I should get away from me, you freak," And I was just like, "Oh God, yeah, it's gonna be a rough run, man."
Yeah, you had to go back and look in the mirror. What am I putting
No.
off here? Yeah.
Oh my, it was just terrible. It's just so funny. Like that first week was brutal. Like I like I left all my friends. I left everybody. Um,
Man.
and
It-
so my mom was like, I think my mom was afraid I was gonna come home. She's just like, my mom was pretty funny. She's basically telling me to go. She says, like, why don't you just go to a bar and meet a girl? Like she's giving me the worst advice like a mother could ever give their son. Like, just like go meet some floozy, go meet some
Right.
prostitute. And because she didn't want me coming home. I think she was like, if you can just get over this little hurdle, you'll be good. And so I know this is I get I'm putting out like interviews for just restaurant jobs, just to be a waiter.
Uh-huh.
And like people are like, yeah, no, man. I'm like, I'm a college graduate, a prestigious military school. I went through OCS in the Marine Corps, and I can't get a friggin' job waiting tables.
Jeez.
I was just like, this is really not shaping up the way I thought it would. And then I called this one restaurant, and the guy that picks up the phone, his name was David Gatsby. And he goes, "Where you from?" I said, I moved down from Boston. He goes, "Come on in, let's talk." He was from Boston.
Oh, nice.
But for no other reason.
Then
He didn't
Boston.
know me. I came in there. He was a manager at a restaurant at the Galleria Mall. It was called Spats. It was just regular. It was kind of like a TJI Fridays or something
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Kind of like one of those restaurants, but it was
Right.
in a mall, right?
Uh-huh.
So he's like, "Well, what do you know how to do?" I go, "Dude, I go, I'm a quick study, man. What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "I follow this girl around. She's a waitress. She's going to show you what you need to do. And then we'll figure it out." I was like, I can do that, man. So like, I'm like, because I have this military background. I'm like, all right, this is my task.
Right.
I'm gonna be a shit hot waiter, right? Like I'm gonna be the best waiter that I can be. Um, Nothing is beneath me. You need me to take the trash out. You need me to stay late to wash the floors. You need me to, whatever.
Right.
And so I tell him, I said, "Hey, if you need anything else, I'm, it's just me, man. I don't have a lot of friends or anything, so I can work a lot.
Yeah.
And he says, "What are you doing tonight?" I says, "I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home and go to bed." He goes, "Here's my address. Swing by. We're having a little get together after work." So I'm like, I get done at work. I go home. I shower up. I got this address. I go to. There was no GPS.
Right. Yeah. You had to find it. Yeah.
This is
Understand.
90,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, I'm looking at maps and stuff. So I get to this guy's house. He lives on the water. I come through the house. There are people everywhere. And I'm just like, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Come, we're gonna go out on the boat." He's got a Donzi in the back. And so I'm sitting on the boat with a girl on each side of me and a couple of the guys from work. So, and he hands me, at the time I was still drinking, he hands me a Miller Lite and he goes, "Here you go." And then I had talked to him and told him like things really weren't working out for me up until the time that he got me this job.
Right.
And he
Right.
goes, he goes, how's things looking for you now, kid? And as we go down the intercoastal, in the Donzi with the women on the boat, and
Miami Vice vibe going on.
Oh my God. I was like, yeah, man, I think Florida's gonna work, And the funny story to all of that guy, Dave,
Yeah.
he was in my wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man, we stayed in touch. He was he was the lifeline, man. He was the reason that I stayed in Florida, right? And I I started developing a network of friends, and they were really cool too, because that restaurant crowd, that can be a real party crowd. And he was really great. He knew that I wanted to be a cop. So if anybody was doing coke, if anybody was smoking, they were like, "Hey, fucking John's here. Get out of here with that."
Oh, he was keeping you clean.
Yeah, well, he was just,
your name clean and everything.
Yeah, he knew what I was trying to accomplish, and he's like, "Listen, drinking's drinking's good, man, but get out of here with that. We're not nobody's." He didn't want anybody jamming me up or causing a problem for me moving forward.
Right. That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah, it's just
you don't get people like that. You don't get a lot of people like that,
You know what, Ken? I mean, just a really good guy, solid guy, and so long story short, man, I end up getting picked up by the Broward Sheriff's office, and I go through the academy and all that good stuff, and away we go, man, and away we go.
So did you? And you obviously had your degree and everything like that, and
right.
Were you one of 50 people that got picked up by him in this hiring craze, or?
So I think
you get lost in the shovel, I guess is my question.
No, I mean, so when I went through the academy, there were probably 10 of us in the academy from that agency. Academy probably had 40 people in it in our class.
Yeah.
And about 10 of those were from BSO. So but this is a big age. I mean, it's grown so much over the years, between law enforcement, detention, fire rescue, child protective service. There may be another entity. It's a 6,000 person agency.
And that's all encompassed inside Broward County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Wow.
That's the umbrella. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a monster. Back in the day, back in 30 years ago, it wasn't that. It was just Department of Law Enforcement and Corrections. But it was a big enough place that it gave you a lot of opportunities, right?
Sure,
different units, things to do.
Everything you can do. So when you're going through, you go through this as a rookie and you're getting out there, was it what you thought it was going to be in your whole endeavor and to get there? Or were you starting to see things, or did you see things like, hey, I didn't realize it was this? Or was it just what you thought it was and life was good?
You know what? So, I'm still drinking, right? I hadn't had my come to Jesus meeting yet. And being a cop in South Florida in the 90s, and being an alcoholic, it was free reign, man. You really, cops weren't arresting cops. I had a license to do whatever I wanted, which was kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was the environment. It's certainly not that way now, and that's probably a really good thing.
Sure.
Sure. But yeah, I didn't realize, because again, I grew up like black and whites. We all got along.
Right.
In on the North Shore of Boston, man. Everybody did athletics together. We went out partying together. We went to the clubs in downtown Boston together. And moving to South Florida and then getting involved in law enforcement, I saw quite a strong racial divide,
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was not a melting pot of any sort. And that and the violence, we were rocking and rolling in the 90s, man, and it was a free for all, and that was that takes you back for a second, right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
"Oof, wow, didn't realize people treated each other this way, you know."
Yeah.
And you get a quick study, you get a quick course in human relations 101, and you realize that there are a lot of people that do not care about about you or anybody else.
And the fact that you got a badge means nothing to them, huh?
No, oh, well, if anything, it it simplifies things for them, because they're like, all right, well, that's the enemy right there.
Right. Yeah.
It simplifies things. And it's funny, like, so you can't go up, you can't get out of the car and look at everybody as the enemy.
Right. Yeah.
It's not everybody is the enemy. You've got to be able to quickly determine friend or foe,
Mhm.
threat or non-threat. And it only takes getting burned once for you to develop that skill,
Yeah.
and go like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah,
Here's all the telltale signs on that person
right.
right there.
And
And yeah.
I forget who said it, but it might have been one of the generals. He said, you treat everyone fairly with kindness, but have a plan to kill them in the back of your mind.
Yeah. That's actually it's an old samurai proverb. And if I
Okay.
and so yes, and then who got it? Who brought it forward? It was yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, but it was an old samurai proverb
Okay.
back in the
Well,
day.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
back in,
that's like
1300s or whatever.
right. Well, like that's the perfect. Everybody gets treated with respect, but you have a plan to kill everybody you meet,
Yeah.
and that works.
Mhm.
That works.
You're right.
It's a sound. It's been around for a long time, so it, it must be. It must have some meaning and support behind it, right?
Yeah, I went to a thing and I heard a guy talk one time and he was talking about how he knew this guy and he wanted to go he moved to this new place. And so he needed to find out where the guys that got out of prison, where they went and worked out, where the rough neighborhood to go work out at. And they're like, "Why do you want to go there?" And he goes, "Why don't you go down to, whatever 24-hour fitness or whatever it is?" He goes, you go into those places and how often do you see the people that are disrespectful, they're wanting to, college guys that want to start fights because everybody's all jacked up on testosterone or steroids or whatever, and everybody starts getting disrespectful to each other, because you're not going to find that at those places where it's a little bit harder, little
Right.
people are a little bit tougher, because they know how to speak violence. And so if you're going to disrespect them, you're going to get it. So you learn not to disrespect them, and they don't know anything about you. So they're assuming you're there. So you're a little bit harder too. They
Right.
don't disrespect you either. And so there's that understanding. The
Sure.
people who've never, and Mike Tyson said this, the people who've never been punched in the face are the ones who don't understand how to respect people.
Oh yeah, I think he said that the social media and the internet has made it way too easy for people to disrespect each other without getting punched in the mouth.
Right, exactly. That mindset right there. Which is it
That's
makes total
awesome.
sense, and
Right.
that's what you're basing this whole idea off of. Okay, I'll respect you. Understand that if you're the wrong person, you're gonna try to punch me in the face, or I'm gonna try to punch you in the face, and
Yeah.
until then we're gonna be nice to each other. And we're gonna put on
Exactly,
a nice
man.
face.
No, that's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Funny stuff.
So you go into this and you start realizing you grow up pretty quick as a kid,
Yeah.
and this is in
Yeah.
your early 20s, right?
Yeah.
Out of college, fresh out of college.
Yep. Yeah, grew up, yeah, exactly. Had all those little life experiences, and then um, you know, early on in the job, had somebody try killing me like really like quick out of the gate. And that was kind of eye-opening. I,
Mm,
I I had never nobody's ever tried to kill me. You know?
right. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a normal. I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of people that wanted to, right?
Right.
Right.
But actually
But
taking steps.
yeah, but actually like trying to was different. So I was fortunate that that happened very early on in my career.
Mhm.
Um, I think, that was like a wake up call, like, hey, this is for real. Like, this isn't, whatever you thought this was, it took on a real serious tone
Mm.
after that attempt. And I think that helped shape me moving forward because then you start taking everything a little bit more serious, like your training, you start taking more serious because like I don't need you to tell me there are people out there that don't like me. Like I know firsthand, like because I had somebody try killing me, like 2 months on the job, right? So,
Right.
hand to hand, and you know what? People can get shot at and all that, and that's traumatic, but hand to hand, someone trying to kill you hand to hand is it's a
Yeah.
different level of intimacy, man.
Right. Yeah.
It's
In Lieutenant Colonel Grossman's book on combat, he talks about there is a that you feel their breath, you feel their sweat, you smell them, they're right there, and you can feel their blood, and they can feel your blood and your touch. I mean, there's all of your sensors are getting used right now on this person, as opposed to
yeah,
like you said, being shot. You can see them, but that's about it, and you hear maybe the gunshot. But when they're right there, you hear the breathing, and you hear that. It's a totally different world.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's no faking your level of endurance or strength when that's going on. Like you can think like, oh, I'm in good shape. Like I'll kick your ass. Like I'm, you don't get tested that often,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so like for me, it was like, man, I better cowboy up, man. Because I was, a minute and a half into a fight, and I was done.
Yeah.
I was gassed, and I was just like, I'm smashing this guy. I put my cuffs around my hands like brass knuckles, and I'm just plowing this guy in the head with them, trying to
Yeah.
knock him, just trying to get him to not exist anymore, man. Because I'm done.
And you don't even know if any of that's taken effect, huh?
I
You're
don't.
not, because you don't know what he's feeling.
It's
And
not. And it's like with everything I had, and he was still in the fight, and it wasn't, I got real lucky. I had people come. I was surrounded by the residents of this housing project, and it was, I had another 10, 15 seconds, man, and it this is a different story. We're not having this interview.
yeah,
And the guys found me just in time because I was done.
you're
I was
gassed
done.
out. Yeah.
You gassed
Jeez.
out. And but that, like I said, that little baptism there of violence really served me well because it made the things that you and I talk about important, like your tactics, your training, your physical conditioning, your ability to fight.
Yeah.
All those things, they you know they take on a significant importance
Yeah. Right.
once you I've identified all these deficiencies. Like, okay, well, I need to be better at fighting. I need to be better conditioned. My tactics were shit.
Mhm.
Put your hands up on the wall. What TV show did I take that from?
Right.
We don't put people up on the wall. They
Yeah.
do in the movies, and but they don't spin off the wall and knock you on your ass in the
Right.
movies.
In the movies, they follow a script and okay, yeah,
Oh,
you got me, copper.
yeah, no,
In
man.
real life, it's a different world.
And
Yeah.
and in real life, when they knock you on your ass and they don't flee and they continue to push the fight,
Hmm.
that like, why isn't he fleeing?
Right. Right.
Oh, because he's trying to kill me with my own gun.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. He's trying to
Oh,
get
that's
that.
why. Yeah, man. So a lot of life lessons there, and that carried through the remainder of my career. Some things you don't forget.
Right. No, I can imagine. Yeah, you wouldn't forget that. And then did that stick with you for a little while? That whole, lose some sleep on that, and
Yeah. And so it's so funny, Ken. There were so many things. Like I talked to a buddy of mine, and he would tell stories like, "Hey, do you remember blah blah?" And I'm like, Yeah, I don't remember that.
Oh,
No,
wow.
no, and then blah blah blah, and you're like, yeah. Um, there are probably a half dozen of things that I remember very vividly,
Oh, yeah.
right? But it got to the point where the insanity, there was nothing, there was it was so insane that it just all started blending together. Like nothing stood out anymore.
Oh, wow.
You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
we're getting shot at, and like nobody's ducking behind cars because what like well, they're not that close.
Yeah.
It's just like what like you kind of. I had a buddy of mine from college do a ride along with me, right?
Uh-huh.
I've been on a couple of years, and he came down, and he was like, "Hey, I'm in town," and he big kid, tough kid, and I threw him in the car with me. I say, "Listen, here's a gun, right? Here's a gun. Don't get out of the car until I tell you it's okay to get out of the car. And if something happens to me, kill whoever killed me."
Right.
Like, and he's just like, he was bothered that he just got that set of instructions.
Right.
And so we got into some stuff, and you're not supposed to go on pursuits and stuff like that when you have a civilian ride along. But I
Right.
was, I had my buddy with me, man. So, we were getting into it a little bit, and, and probably doing some things that we should not have technically been doing, but
Right.
I wanted to show him what we were up to. And we went to go get dinner. He was sick to his stomach. He couldn't have dinner. He couldn't
Couldn't
eat.
eat, huh?
He was sick to his stomach. And I was just like, and then it just dawned on me, like all the effed up stuff that we had seen that whole shift,
Yeah.
it physically made him ill.
Right. And that's every day. And that was actually a light night or whatever for you.
And
Right?
I'm like, well, you're not going to eat that, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you get that. It's great in the moment because you don't have to process anything. You just
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it's cool, right? It's just like, all right, yeah, well, this is just the way it is. But there are those incidents that stand out, and you go, I haven't really developed any of these skills to address the issues that are starting to haunt me and bother me, right? And
Right.
so it's that double-edged sword that in the moment we need to be numb to it so we can do our jobs,
Right.
because you
But
can't be emotional, or somebody's got to keep their shit together, right?
right.
You can't roll up on the car with bodies hanging out of it and go, oh my god, what? No, you're like, all right, you do this, I'm gonna get this guy, have the FD come in, whatever, right?
Right.
make
Yeah.
make the LZ over there, that's where we're gonna land the Papa unit. Pop, 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 pop.
So were you still single at this time? Or are you,
So
just going home and having your own issues or
yeah, for a little bit. um I get married to Nicole in 95, and I'm still drinking. I stopped drinking in 96 because she had about enough of my nonsense. It took her about a year to be like, nah, man, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. So I got hired in 91. I was single for 2.5, 3 years, and then I got married in 95. But
Mhm.
yeah, Nicole was great. She grew up in a police family, so she had an idea, right,
Right.
of what it was going to be like, of what what she might be in store, in store. But the the early stuff, um, one, I never talked to her about it, and I was, when I was still drinking, I didn't need an excuse to drink more, but certainly those some of those calls that I had a hard time processing. It, you didn't have to process it; just hit the bottle, and
Right. Right. And just bury that down and drown it in
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously we know that that is not a healthy way to deal with, you know, your stress or the things that you see.
Right.
Um,
So,
and go
oh,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, at what point did obviously this isn't, you can't do this long term. So, at what point did this start coming to a head?
So, um, I'm drinking as much as I want, whenever I want, and it's funny. I say, you know, when you surround yourself with crazy, crazy becomes the new normal, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who's going to call you out if everybody is kind of at that same level, or at least, you know, it's hard for people to call you out on unacceptable behavior if their behavior is in
Unacceptable.
kind.
Also. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, it's
mean,
like you were
so
saying about your dad. Your dad wasn't
yeah,
one to say something about you
right.
drinking because yeah.
Never
Yeah.
be like, mirror, go take a look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then when you get your act cleaned up, you can come talk to me, right? So I I had I had always been like, drinking was like breathing for me. It, I didn't need a reason or a time or an event. It was just, and I was like high functioning. You know, I was not, at least I thought I was. And one of like this one situation I got myself into was like, kind of like the beginning of the end. Um, we would work midnight, so I would hang out with a group, you know, and you know the cop circle, man. We really don't hang out with outsiders. You know,
Right.
we should, but we
Mhm.
don't. And so we're out riding motorcycles all day, going, you know, bar hopping, doing our thing, and um, we got to start wrapping up the night
Mhm.
right around like 9:30 because I got roll call at 10:30. Right.
That
So
night,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
bar hopping before
Oh,
work.
oh yeah, all day.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, man. Not proud, but that's just the way it was, man. Just the way it was. And
Huh.
so I get home, Nicole's pissed because she's not pissed, just to tell you how crazy her indoctrination into this. She's not pissed that I'm drunk and I have to go to work in an hour. She's
Mhm.
pissed that I forgot to bring home dinner from the last restaurant and bar we were at.
How
Um, you know, like, you know, it just,
about thinking about somebody else? Yeah.
yeah,
Besides just
no,
yourself all the time.
yeah. So, I'm in the shower. I'm throwing up. I think I get it all out of my system. I get dressed. I get in my marked unit, and I pass out over the wheel trying to back out of my driveway in
Wow.
full uniform.
Because you're drunk, tired,
Oh yeah.
all of the
Oh,
above.
I've been drinking all day. I'm half in the bag. I don't know what my blood alcohol level was, but I was drinking for the last 7 or 8 hours. I mean,
Jeez.
and my neighbor calls Nicole, says, "Hey, something's wrong with John." Now she knows what's wrong with John. She
Right.
comes outside and screaming at me, right? And she calls my buddy. She said, "Come get your drunk friend." So he's on the job too, and he shows up with another deputy. They throw me. One of the other deputy drives my car with me in it in to work, and they bring me to a buddy's parents' house that's on vacation in a neighboring jurisdiction,
Mhm.
and they have me. They put me to bed, man, and they're going to let me sleep it off. And my buddy Steve ends up handling all my calls till about 4 in the morning. Back in the day, our radios didn't have identifiers.
Right.
So if you just keyed the mic,
They just went off of
anybody,
your voice. So he gave your number or whatever for calls.
yeah, he covered my zone. So when the call came out, you know, hey, Alpha 201, you know, 65 or whatever,
Yeah.
he'd say, yeah, 201.
Uh,
Or he'd say 202, I'm in that, you know, 202, I'm down the street, give it to me.
Jeez.
So, that worked till about 4 in the morning, right up until the sergeant wanted to see me because I never made it to roll call. And so, remember Jim from Taxi
Yeah.
with the hair?
Uh-huh.
And it just, that was me. I was out of my mind. And I meet the sergeant at 4 in the morning, and I get out of the car, and he just looks at me, and he knows, man, I'm still half in the bag.
Right. Right.
And he goes, "You all right?" And he goes, "I missed you at roll call." I go, "Yeah, I'm good, Sarge." He goes, "Yeah, no, you're not. Go home. We're going to talk about this tomorrow." And I got to tell you, Ken, that ride home, I sobered up, ran pretty quick on that ride home. I'm thinking to myself, just got married. I'm only a couple of 3 years into this job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my career is over. My marriage is going to be over. It's just, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, man. It's me.
Right. There's no way you can
There's
put it
just
on
a
anybody
really
else.
short list of people to blame here, man, and it's just
Right.
on me, right? It's all on me. And I go to work the next night sober, and both sergeants sit me down and they go, "Last night will never be allowed to happen again. You got two options. We can either command refer you, or you
Mhm.
can go get some help. Whichever you think is best." And I'm
Right.
like, sounds like these guys are giving me a second chance. And listen, Ken, you've been on the job a long time. You don't that the cardinal sin, man,
Yeah.
being
Sleeping on
drunk at
duty and
work.
drinking on duty. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get to.
No. They show you the door when that happens. And these two guys made it a point to be part of the solution for me. So I reached out to a woman named Judy at work. She was running our EAP, and I said, "Hey, I'm having a little problem with alcohol, and I need some help." So she hooked me up with an AA meeting ran by cops for cops in a neighboring jurisdiction. Um, and that was really cool because there's something to be said for being amongst, you
Yeah,
know,
those guys that know the ins and outs of
yeah,
all the parts.
right. And
Yeah.
so I'll never forget. So I go to my first meeting, and it's at 8 o'clock on Thursday nights, and I am working midnight. So it's great. I go to my meeting at 8, and then when the meeting's over, I can just roll into work. It's perfect. And I'm at the meeting, and I look around the room. It's at a retired Davy cop house
Mhm.
over off a University Drive. And I see a high ranking member of our agency in the room.
Really?
And I'm like, "Oh, shit." Right. I'm like, now I'm nervous. Right.
Are they watching you, or is that what
Well,
you're
like,
thinking? Are they
no,
here
I don't
keep
know.
tabs on you, or
Ken, I have no idea. I just walk over to him. I go, "Colonel." And he looks at me. I'll never forget this. He says, "I'm not a colonel here. I'm just like you."
ah, nice.
Those words stayed with me.
Yeah.
I'm just like you. And my takeaway was, everybody's got shit, man. Everybody's got something going on in their lives that you know nothing about. This
Yeah.
was one of the leaders of our agency.
Yeah. Highly
And
respected, yeah.
who would have known? Who would have ever thought? Now, there were a couple people in that room that I looked around and I was like, all right, well, that makes sense, man. I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I get why that guy's here, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the biggest thing of all this story is we had shift change. And so now I'm working Charlie shift, which is like 2:30 to 10:30. I'm
Mhm.
no longer working mids. So my meetings on Thursday night are smack dab in the middle of my shift.
Ah,
And I go to my sergeant and I go, "Hey boss, I got a problem. My meetings are at 8, and I'm supposed to be, we got shift." He says, you don't have a problem. He says, per me, you go to your meeting on duty. I'll put yourself 10-6 on an area check. And when your meeting's over, you can go 10-8 back in service.
Right.
And he didn't ask anybody permission for that. He just made the call. He didn't check with the lieutenant or the chief. And that's another defining moment in my career, and one that I would take with me as a leader, that if you're not using your rank to better the lives of the people around you, then you're wasting the rank.
Right.
That your rank was given to you. I earned it. Bullshit. All right. Let's just call it what it is. Somebody believed that you would use that position and that authority to better the lives of the people in the organization. That's why you have rank.
Right.
Some people believe that the reason why they have rank is to better their own lives. And,
true. There are people that do that. Yeah.
I've got a huge problem with people like that, because they're wasting the rank. At the end of the day, it's really about taking care of our people and caring and being part of a solution that they may not even know they need. So that example that those two sergeants gave me, I carried that with me when I got promoted, and it's one of those things that I think you don't ever forget, that at the end of the day, doing the right thing is always in favor. It doesn't know a political climate or an administration. The right thing to do is always the right thing to do, regardless of who the leader of the organization is, regardless of your standing or stature in the organization. We just need to have the fortitude and the courage to do it.
Right.
And sometimes that comes at great risk.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, let me before you go too deep, go too much further. What happened to the two guys that helped you out? Did they get anything, or obviously you're covering for a guy, but which is good. But on the other side,
and so I'm not privy to whatever conversations or not. I didn't tell my sergeants the ruse that was.
Right.
I didn't tell them that I was sleeping at a buddy's house, that my buddy Steve was answering my calls. Nothing happened to those guys.
Yeah. And whether they had a conversation, somebody said, don't do that again, or whatever the case is.
You
don't know.
I honestly, Ken,
it just,
I never gave them up. And I think the sergeant realized, I don't think at that point, I don't think they were looking to dig deeper, man.
Right.
I think they were like,
we have this issue, and this is the issue.
This is the issue. And I think that they might have thought that, that I didn't make it to roll call, and that's why they wanted to see me. And once they saw me, they knew why I didn't make it to roll call. So thankfully, nobody else got in any trouble for that.
Well, that's good. Cool. So you're now a mids, and you're going to your meetings, and it's obviously there's some end in sight. They're not, it's just an endless, thing.
No.
Was it one of those things that was able to really make a difference for you?
Yeah. So this is going to sound a little crazy. Once I know what I need to do, I am relentless. The problem I've always had is knowing.
Right.
Once it's like, like if you're a fighter pilot, you're trying to get tone, you're trying to get locked on. And once you get locked on, man, once you have tone, it's over.
Yeah.
It's done. I could never get tone, man. I struggled so long with knowing what I should do, whether it was with drinking or relationships or addiction. But once I figured it out, once I got direction and clarity, easiest thing in the world.
Mm.
And so after that thing at work, that was that was the end of it, man. I really I had a, I don't want to say a relapse because that's being melodramatic, but I thought like I had it, like I'm not drinking anymore. I've got a handle on it, right? And I was like almost like testing myself, like, well, maybe I'm not really an alcoholic. Maybe I can just have a drink and
Right.
not be a big deal because
Right.
I like drinking.
Sure.
I didn't stop liking to drink.
Uh-huh.
I just knew that if I continued, it would probably be the death of me. So I kind of had to just, if I wanted to live, I had to stop. So Nicole and I went on a cruise, probably, I don't know, several years after I had stopped drinking and I had been sober.
Right.
And so we're on a cruise, right? And like I used to love amaretto on the rocks. Like
Okay.
after dinner, I would love amaretto on the rocks after dinner, just sip it nice, right? And so we're on a cruise and there's a show. And after the show, I'm like, the lady's coming around and asking if anybody wants drinks.
Right.
And Nicole, she gets a drink, she gets whatever. And I was like, I wonder if I go, I'm not driving, obviously, I'm on a boat,
Right.
maybe I could just get maybe an after dinner drink.
Mhm.
She's like, well, if you think that's, that's, if you can have one, rock on, man.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I go, give me an amaretto on the rocks. So lady comes back, I have my amaretto on the rocks, and then we watch the rest of the show, we go back to our room, wake up the next day, and I am in the gift shop buying a bottle of amaretto for the room.
Oh, yeah.
And Nicole, so this is the thing, right? So I go to buy it, and the person doesn't give it to me. They go, you get this when you get off the ship, because they don't want you.
Right. You need to spend your money on the alcohol at their bars.
Right.
Right.
Like it's like a duty free shop on the ship. Like, yeah,
Right.
you get this like when we pull in a port, and before you leave, you can have it. And she looks at me and I look at her and I just start crying. I was like, I don't have this. Like I went from one drink the night before to buying a bottle for the room. Like
Right.
I was like, I obviously don't have a handle on this. I can't do this in moderation. So
Right.
that was like a kind of a necessary wake up call that like just when you think you've got something beat,
You don't.
you
Yeah.
don't,
It still holds on to you.
yes, and um, and that was a valuable lesson for me then, it was just
Yeah.
like, okay, it's complete abstinence. It's not non-alcoholic beer. It's not a drink once a year to celebrate something. It's no longer a part of my life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's okay. It's just one of those things, man. You don't realize until you go, whoa, geez, that snuck up on me quick,
Yeah. Yeah. I can only imagine. So at this point, you're sitting there saying, I'm not drinking anymore. I can't do anything else. You continue to go to your meetings?
No, so this is the other thing. Once once I have that clarity, um, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, Nicole is supportive of everything. And, the other thing was, Ken, my daughter was born in 97. I didn't want her to ever see me impaired. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
So I got my shit together before she was born. I said, I will not subject my daughter to that guy. Right.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that
And it's
was
not that you were a violent drunk or anything like that. You just were a do nothing drunk, right?
I was like, those stupid videos you see where the redneck guy says, "Hey, hold my beer."
Yeah.
Watch this, hold my beer.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, oh, this is not gonna end well.
A train wreck. You don't want to take your eyes
was,
off it, but you got to keep,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
You know, it's gonna go bad.
Listen, I was very, people say, I can't imagine you drinking because, like, right, I've got no filter. I don't, I'm very engaging. I think I've got a pretty good sense of humor. But yeah, but when I was drinking, it was like that times 10,
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I'm not a fighter, never looked for trouble, never,
Right.
but it's just, um, I would be the guy that would dive into the pool with no water
Oh yeah.
because he was so drunk that he didn't realize there was no water in the pool.
Just very irresponsible, careless.
Yeah.
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 Reckless even.
Completely.
But yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. So you get to that because you see that your daughter's more important, you see life's more important, you see all this stuff,
Yep.
and you say, I'm okay, I'm good. I know what I can and can't do. And so you draw that line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing, right? So I'm still an addict though.
Yeah.
You understand?
I do. Uh-huh.
Like, just because that's the other thing is like, so when you stop, you don't stop being an addict. It's just
Mhm.
the things that you get addicted to change. So
Okay.
like what you need to become addicted. Listen, let me throw a disclaimer out there for the listeners.
Uh-huh.
I'm a moron. This is just like my take on it, right? This
Right.
isn't backed up by any science or,
Yeah, you're no Jordan Peterson or nothing like that. You are,
no,
yeah.
no. I'm just talking about my life experience and my take on it. Um, uh, Once you're an addict, you're the item in question becomes immaterial.
Right.
I'm always an addict. And
Mhm.
I didn't realize that until I got addicted to something else. It's part of your makeup, it's part of your DNA, and it's not a sob story. It's just something that you need to be aware of
Yeah.
and navigate, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I would always so when I wasn't drinking, um, I was then it was like adrenaline, like, what else can I do to kind of feed this? Like, if I got my friends would always say, like, they go, fucking John, man. Anytime he gets involved in something, he's always balls to the wall. Like, I don't go just pick up an archery bow.
Yeah.
Like, I get the archery bow and I fletch my own arrows and I joined the archery club with the range I have a key to the gate and I'm out there at 3 in the morning throwing arrows.
Right.
You know, it like that's like
Yeah, you go way overboard. You go to,
way overboard.
yeah,
Like,
level 10. Yeah.
like I'm motocross. I've never been on a motocross bike. I go out, I get the motocross bike, all the gear, and the first place I go isn't a sand pit, it's Air Dania, a supercross track, right? Where like 15-foot tabletops and like people are flying over my head with their motors. And I'm like, on my third lap, I figure like I got it figured out. And
Yeah.
I never get off the throttle on the tabletop and I like
Flip yourself, huh?
flip myself and blow out my ACL. I mean, like, just like, and I come home and my wife's just like, what did you do to yourself this week? And that was
Right.
like, I'm like, I don't, I don't, I guess motocross isn't for me, so I get rid of motocross, um, when I would shoot or I'd go hunting or you know, I went to sniper school. I had to build my own sniper rifle.
Mhm.
They want to give me one. No, I got it. I'm gonna build my own. And so it's just that's just the way it was. And that works for a lot of like when I was in canine. I developed a SWAT dog program. Like
Mhm.
I would spend hours like desensitizing my dog to gunfire because back in the day the philosophy was, and it was flawed, but back in the day, they wanted your dog to go on gunfire.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That no commands, like automatic. But the only problem with that is that one, the dog's not a thinking being. Two, more likely than not, the people firing are going to be other officers
Yeah.
and not the suspect. So having a dog that's aggressive to gunfire, you're just going to start nuking your own guys.
Yeah.
It's a,
Because he's going to be closer to the actual cops than he's going to be to the bad guy anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is a effed up philosophy, boys. I'm not doing that. That looks good for a demonstration, like when you're at the school and the back door swings open and you got your partner with a sleeve shooting a blank gun.
Right.
And the dog goes and engages him. But for the practicality of deploying and what we do, I want a dog that's neutral. I want a dog looking at me, wanting to know what he wants me to do, right? What I want him to do. That dog takes his direction from the handler, not just, oh, well, automatically, we're going to condition a dog to go eat something the minute it starts shooting a gun.
Right.
That's going to be problematic. So I spent a ridiculous amount of time desensitizing my dog to gunfire. And, I'd be full auto MP5 with my dog walking next to me on the range, just looking at, waiting to see what we do. And so, but that took hours daily. I got my dog to the point where we would deploy a lot with SWAT. And I would get him crawling with me to a point where we were going to be setting up or a location. I would be in a ghillie suit with the dog on operations, and he just not barking, just chill, just waiting,
watching you for what we're going to do next.
Just waiting for hours. And that was extreme. That took like tons of effort, but like that was my thing. I was cool with it. We would deploy off of helicopters onto buildings, stuff we would figure it out,
Right.
And
right.
It was all good, but that was like another example of like being all in.
Yeah, just that it's that addictive personality that once something is there in your mind, okay, I got to do every single factor of it. Yeah.
And so with that being said, steroids start working their way into the picture, and that ends up being another nightmare, man.
Because you're working out a lot. You're working out a ton, right?
Yeah, but that's working out and being strong and healthy and all that. Anything in excess is not, there's a reason why we have balance in our lives, right?
Right.
And it's a reason why, that whole mind body connection exists. And anytime we go to extremes, we're doing ourselves a disservice. And so I get promoted in 2003, and I'm running my squad, and I was always looking for an edge, Ken. Always looking for an edge, something to make me better.
Right.
And in 2005, there was a company that came out that basically you could order whatever you wanted in whatever quantities you wanted for steroids.
Really?
And they all got indicted, and it was a horrible mess. But the premise was, you call up, there's a doctor that reviews what you want, and you get a prescription from this doctor, and you order whatever you want. And so for someone with addiction issues,
oh yeah, that would be just
dude,
candy store.
Not only was it a nightmare. I don't think I ever showed you. I got a picture of me, and I look pretty good. I kind of,
Oh no, you did. Yeah, it was you're totally ripped out. I mean,
yeah.
just
I had never been more close to death.
yeah. I mean, it's like
And
you look like the cover of a magazine quality, and you
like
look healthy from the outside, but on the inside you're not, right?
I am dying inside. I'm having suicidal ideation. My physical insides, I'm dying from the inside out. And you look at, like everybody's like, well, that guy looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty dialed in.
Right.
And I took it to such an extreme. You know, if 1 cc is good, you know, 6 is better. You know,
Jeez. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, and my numbers, like an average male's testosterone levels, like should be like around 4 to 800.
Hmm.
I was rocking over 4,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and what that does to you psychologically is not good. You are not in balance. If any, there is no balance, you are the exact opposite of being healthy.
Yeah.
And I got I got suspended twice over steroids, and it's just the steroids make you somebody that you're not. It transforms you, and not in a good way.
Hmm.
When you're doing these excessive levels, right? Um, I thought it was making me a better supervisor, a better boss. I figured, like the bigger I was, the more respect. It was just this really messed up way. Like I was never good enough, right? So like,
Right.
well, if I'm bigger, physically more imposing, well, I'm going to be a better boss.
Right.
And it was such a weird, corrupt way of looking at it, because all the bosses that I have had
Hmm.
that I respected, that really cared, they weren't jacked up dudes.
Right.
They were just guys that cared.
Hmm.
They they
Yeah.
they got it, man. Like the way to be a good boss is to care about your people more than you care about yourself. And I fucking completely missed that lesson, right?
Right.
So I'm all jacked up, and I uh I am spiraling, man. And on top of all that, this is the time in my life that I had my affair, um, that I cheated on my wife. And you know, I everything that mattered in my life, everything that should have mattered,
Hmm.
I was throwing away, man. I was walking away from. And it wasn't because my wife did nothing to deserve what I did to her.
Right.
I mean, this is all of my making. It's all of my making. Um, for the longest time, I would not discuss anything with her. Like if there was the potential for something to be like a little ripple, or,
Hmm.
you know, not a, the potential for like an argument or something, I wouldn't have the conversation. And I did that for years. And ultimately, we started kind of, I don't want to say drifting apart, because I think that's kind of bullshit. I think I just stopped caring. And instead of like doing the hard work, instead
Hmm.
of like putting the energy into my relationship and my marriage, I bailed. And it was at the height of that steroid abuse. And I don't want to blame the steroids, but I'm certain it didn't help the situation, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Um, and you start looking in the mirror, and you're just like, I uh I was absolutely fucking ashamed of the person looking back at me.
Really.
Um, and when you get to that place, man, when you get to that place, um, you, see, for different people, I think sometimes you think you're relieved, like I would, would have never thought in a million years that I would think about hurting myself.
Yeah.
That just doesn't fucking make sense to me. Like, why would you do that? But when you when you've disappointed so many people,
Mhm.
when when you've sat on your daughter's bed and told her that things are going to be better, um, with by you not being there more, um, that's pretty fucking shitty, man.
Yeah, that's dark. That's dark.
And,
It's
and when you you stop you stop seeing a way out. You stop seeing a way forward, and you start thinking, oh, maybe things would be better if I just wasn't here.
yeah.
And it's just it's absolutely uh, an insane way to look at something, and you're not thinking rationally, right? Because a rational person would never come to that conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a self-preservation thing that like, hey, I want to be part of something. And if I'm there, hey, I'm having fun. But you don't want to say, hey, you know what? This place would be so much better if everything stayed the same. It's just I wasn't here. That's an odd way to think of things, you know?
Right.
It's not our normal.
Like, all the pain I'm causing all these people, um, I think you just get to a point where you don't see a way out of
Right.
what you've done.
Right.
And um and thankfully, right? Thankfully I had some people um remind me, you need to be shook, right?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to come along and and kick you in the ass and shake you back to that place, right? Back to that place that you are loved, that there is a way, there is a way out of this situation, right? We the insanity of addressing a temporary situation with a permanent solution, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what are you thinking? And I had some people, and I had a doctor, guy named Carlos Levy, and my buddy Steve. And Steve, the guy that
Yeah.
he's he's
They took your radio number for a
yeah,
night. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if I'm his best friend, but
Uh-huh.
I know he's mine,
That's awesome.
you know? And so I had those two guys like come to me, and another buddy, Dennis, and kind of shake me, man, shake me back to the man I need to be, right?
Mhm.
And and it takes different things for different people, but having people and come to you uh, at the right time, saved my life. And so, getting out of that dark place and owning it and realizing that, I'm the only one who has a say in whether this thing gets better or not. And coming
Yeah.
to that realization that,
Yeah.
um, listen, I have a saying, Ken, things don't get fucked up overnight, so they're not going to get fixed overnight, right? I
Right.
mean, you can't make, you know, bad decisions for time period X, then expect, in one fell swoop,
Yeah.
everybody to develop
No
amnesia. Yeah.
yeah, no consequences.
No,
Everything's okay.
man, that's
There's
movie
no
stuff.
ripples in the water. Yeah.
Oh, that's movie stuff, man. Um, but again, once I get clarity, right?
Mhm.
Once I get that tone,
Yeah.
I'm locked in. I know what I need to do, and there's no looking back. And I got to tell you, I've been so blessed to have people in my life that cared, and that's kind of the importance of the program I started,
Yeah.
because of all the things that like I talk about, the general theme and intent
Mhm.
is to establish an environment of caring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only for the program, right? But I think just like in life in general, like I don't have to like you, Ken,
Mhm.
but I do have to care about you.
Right. it's our job on this planet to care
Right.
and work for other people.
Yeah.
And I say this, I talk about this a lot, is that our job on this planet is to be there for other people, is to be for other people. We have the things that we get for serving other people is exponentially bigger and better than the things that we do for ourselves because of our selfishness or whatever the case is. We look at all these different things, and if we, and going off of your story, you have people that come alongside you and say, we gotta, because we know you and we love you, we got to make sure you're okay. You got to have those people that are in your life that have relationships with you,
Right.
that are willing to do that and say, hey, you're not your normal self. What is going on? How can we help you get better? And you're like, I'm fine. No, you're not. We know you.
Right.
And so that's
Yeah.
what you got to have, those people that know you. Aside from that, you got to have the people that know you that are doing that, but they're also got to be willing to, I got to put out some effort because this person I care about makes a difference. And if they're not okay, then there's something, there's an issue, and it's my responsibility to help them be okay. So,
Right.
I think it's absolutely fantastic that you have people in your life. So we can't be hermits. We can't be those people that, hey,
No, man.
I'm an island, because no man, as it's said, no man's
Yeah.
an island.
Yeah. There's been a lot of takeaways, brother, from, my time. And listen, none of this is a sad sob story. It's not this, oh, woe is me bullshit. It's just the story of me, and just recognizing that I had some really truly amazing people in my life
Yeah.
that cared.
Right.
They cared about me more than themselves in that moment. Right up into my wife. I mean, someday you'll meet her, man. She is, and when you meet her, it'll all make sense.
Yeah.
Like, she's just an amazing person. She one of the things that was instrumental in our relationship, in our repair of it, was she owned it. I'm the one who stepped out, but she said, and this kind of blew me away. She said, uh, I have some responsibility in this. She goes, um, uh, it may not be, 50-50, but because we're in a relationship, because you're my husband and I'm your wife,
Mm-hmm.
the health of the relationship, I have to own that as well. And her take, even if the part that she needs to own is like 0.5%,
Yeah.
she's willing to own that 0.5% that says, it's my responsibility to do whatever it takes to maintain the health of
Yeah.
this relationship.
Mhm.
And so she learned some things,
Right.
moving forward, that she needs to do. And, obviously, our communication and how we connect, and just learning, right? Learning
Yeah.
about the complexities of maintaining a healthy relationship, no matter with, who it's with, right?
Yeah. And and that's good, because there's people that would just say, you know what, you did this and I'm out. And
Right.
they would draw the line right there. For her to say that, to
Right.
know that what she's got, that you have more value than you think you do. She knows you have more value than you think you do.
Isn't that something, man?
Yeah. I mean, because we look at ourselves and I think, oh, hey, I'm this, I'm that. And you were even saying, I just got to be better and I can be more and I got to this. And when in fact you're dying on the inside.
Yeah.
But she
Doing the
knows,
opposite, right?
yeah, she knows, no, you are valuable. You're going the wrong road. You have value in this thing right here. And I see it, even though you
Can
don't see it.
she loved me at a time in my life when I gave her absolutely no reason to do so.
Yeah. And that's so rare. That is so rare. And there's a lot of people, first responders, cops, veterans, that have that, and they sometimes miss it and they forget.
Right.
And I think it's, we have a solid support system in those spouses, in our spouses, that
Right.
without them we couldn't be who we are. So I think it's
Correct.
awesome.
Yeah. No, lot of takeaways, brother. A lot of
Yeah,
takeaways.
that's awesome. So you're going through all this stuff. You're struggling. You're figuring out life. You do your stepping out. You come back into the fold and you start. At what point, and you mentioned at the very beginning, where you were training guys, and then you were starting to see this thing where people weren't wanting to go home and other stuff like that. What transitioned to that part of your life? How did that get there?
So, I had a couple buddies call me Father John, right? Because, people would come to me because this is the other thing that I think it's really incumbent upon us
Mhm.
as seasoned leaders, as
Yeah.
seasoned men in this profession, to share our life experiences with those that come after us.
Right.
You know, not everybody has to get burned, man. I can tell you, don't touch that. It's hot, right? And you can make your own mind up, but you don't have to touch it to find out that you're going to get burned.
Right.
So some guys will, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think we have a responsibility to share our life experiences, just like we share tactics, right? We don't do tactics the same way we did 5 years ago that we do
Mhm.
today. It's a constantly evolving process,
Right.
and so is life.
Yeah.
Life's a constantly evolving process. So if we can shed some light on a situation or provide perspective to guys that are doing what we've been doing our whole lives, and help and add value to their lives to make their lives better than ours were,
Mhm.
we we're morally responsible to do that. That's my
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
And so once you figure some things out, man, you need to share what you figured out. And there are a bunch of guys that are walking around, um, that have some amazing life lessons that they can be imparting to people struggling, to people going through some dark times, and they
Right.
decide to remain silent. And I think that's a shame. Um, you know, Part of this whole initiative, and one of the things that I really focus on when I put my program on, is relationships, oddly
Mhm.
enough, because I truly believe that if things aren't right with your relationships at home, with your family, with that with back at the home base, um, that ripple effect, man, is far reaching. And,
I
and it
I
it can
agree.
have some serious consequences. People
Mhm.
like to say, "Oh, but if it's not good at work too, then it can hurt home." Maybe to a lesser degree, but I truly believe that the foundation of you walking out the door, if that's not good at home, man, going to have some serious consequences on your performance and how you engage the community and how you do your job in its totality.
Right.
So the first thing I talk about is relationships and the importance of relationships. And this statistic you may or may not be aware of. So we know that suicide is the number one reason why first responders don't go home, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Cops, for every bad guy that takes a cop's life, 2 to 3 cops take their own lives.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not John's theory. These are indisputable facts. Um, the current status of this profession of ours. That's just the guys that are actively employed.
Mhm.
If we look at retirees,
Mhm.
that number jumps exponentially.
Really?
Absolutely.
I hadn't looked at that. I hadn't.
We don't track retirees.
And are we looking at because they've lost their mission, they've lost a purpose? Are we looking at their
All the above.
self-worth?
All the above. Failure to plan for the next chapter. Uh, and where I was going with this is that, so we know the number one leader, the number one cause of death for our first responders and police officers is suicide.
Mhm.
Undisputed. 50% of those suicides are a result of a divorce or the breakup of a relationship.
Jeez. Yeah.
And we've got a profession that doesn't, not only do we not talk about our relationships, but we foster an environment at work that pulls you away from having a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, but they're also, oh, hey, there's a new dispatcher or there's a new nurse down at the hospital or whatever. And oh
We
yeah,
we
Smith is going down
condone
there, you know?
we
Yeah.
condone unacceptable behavior.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm I'm not a Bible thumper, right? Everybody's got their own moral compass. Everybody's got the right to lead whatever life they want.
Yeah.
But if statistically we know the threats that you're facing entering this profession, and we are doing nothing to discuss the importance of you maintaining a healthy relationship, um, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And to that end, we don't foster it. You know, I remember there weren't a lot of people checking me for my inappropriate behavior. If anything, it was made very light of.
Yeah. Laughed at and like, oh, that's John. He's funny.
Or the running joke. How many is there a movie that you've seen involving cops where there is an infidelity or a piece on the side or a guma or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you think about it. No,
There's
always
always,
something.
and it's accepted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's but what we don't realize is that when we do that, we're eroding that. Having a family structure is part of our resiliency. It's a part of our support network. And so if we erode that intentionally,
Yeah.
we're taking away one of the things that keeps us from hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like
Sure. Yeah.
you've dismantled this relationship. You've been kind of encouraged by a peer group that doesn't take a hard line against infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
So we're accepting unacceptable behavior. And then everybody's shocked when you off yourself.
Where did this come from out of nowhere?
Because the only true support system that you really can rely on,
Mm-hmm.
you've destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The one that really cares about the real you.
yes,
Not just the heartbeat that can
yes,
go get in a car and go answer calls.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think it's important to speak very loudly about that, and
Yeah.
not trying to shame anybody or point fingers and I'm holier than thou. I live in a glass house. All right,
Uh-huh.
I'm not throwing rocks, but I can tell you from firsthand experience the dangers of you going down that road and you not making it right at home. Um, what am I not saying? I'm not saying that everybody needs to stay married. I'm not saying I'm against getting a divorce. What I'm saying is if you're going to be in a committed relationship, then be in a committed relationship. Do whatever it takes to make it work. Um, put as much energy into your spouse as you're doing with the side piece.
Yeah.
you know you
Yeah.
know and we create our own problems, and because we create our own problems, we also have the ability to fix them,
Yeah.
right? So I just think it's something that gets overlooked, and it's staring right back at us like
Right.
we're doing this, we're making these decisions.
Yeah, and there's a time and a place, that people sit back and say, this is just too big for me, and I'm beyond help, and they go, like you were saying, they go off themselves or whatever the case may be. However, there are telltale signs there. If you know people, if you're willing to let your ego go and say, you know what, I've messed up, go to a friend and say, hey, man, I'm messing up, and this is too big for me, and I don't know, so I just don't know what to do with it. Oh well, it is what it is. that friend needs to have the guts enough to say, no, stop for a second.
Right.
It's not, we're going to get through this together. The minute you know that somebody else is willing to step up for you and
Right.
say, what, you care enough to, yeah, I'm going to take my Saturday that I have off,
Yeah.
and we're going to go take care of some issues so you can start clearing this up.
Right.
Because this isn't healthy for you. I like to have you in my life. I want you around. Or, you need to talk about this, get this off your chest with somebody that you can trust.
Yep.
And, whatever the case may be, it's just amazing what can happen when you do talk. You can hold the stuff in all day long.
Right.
The minute that you talk about it, you say something, it puts it out there to where you either see it or you understand it in a different angle, a different light, and you're able to adjust yourself and fix yourself from it. It's kind of goofy that way.
And you know what? It really can. It starts with, it's funny, right? Remember I had talked about, surrounding yourself with crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody in your circle is stepping out, that group isn't there to support you.
Yeah. They'll support you in stepping out.
Right. That they won't support you in doing what you've got to do to make it right at home, because that would demand them to look at their own situation, which is something that they're never going to do.
Right.
That old adage, misery loves company.
Yep.
And so you end up being drawn to that group because they're accepting of your behavior.
Yeah.
And that continues the spiral. And so, the way we get ahead of this is by talking about it, bringing it to light, and just, letting guys know that, and girls know that it's never too late to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it they say? And I think I've mentioned on the show before, but you are going to be the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. If you're hanging out with geniuses, you might even be the dumbest genius, but I'd rather be the dumbest genius than the smartest moron. You know what I mean? Or I'd rather, if you're going to hang out with a bunch of people that are stepping out on their wives or their husbands, what are you eventually going to do? Because you're just
placing yourself in that toxic environment, man.
Right. Yes. Yep.
Again, for my Latin friends, that's no bueno.
No bueno.
Yeah.
So you get to that point, you start seeing these guys and you start realizing we need to start helping guys with their home lives. We need to support them in going home, wanting to go home and being there, not just.
Yeah, it's work is work. Work is, it's a means to an end. It doesn't matter.
And it will always be there.
It will. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so really putting the work into your family, your relationships at work, your finances, your physical health, your mental health. These are all things that are tightly intertwined that demand you to address. And so really that's what the program's about, man. It's about finding ways for us to have balance and really start making ourselves a priority.
Right. So you go through your career and you eventually get to the point where you're going to retire. Right. And you say, okay, I have a plan with what I'm going to do with retirement. And did you choose that, hey, I want to start going to different departments and talking about this issue of being helping yourself? Or was it a sort of thing that kind of just fell in your lap, or what happened?
No, so remember when I told you, like, once I get that laser lock, man, once I know, I was like, all right, so this is what I'm going to do. I have a training background. I've identified a problem, right? Because that's what we do in training, right? Like we identify the problem. What's happening on the street? What technique, what tactic do we need to adopt to keep our people winning? So I applied the same principle. What tactic or technique do we need to adopt to keep our people winning in life?
Right.
And so all right, well, what are the areas that are causing us heartache? Our personal, our relationships, because and I didn't have to look far to find out. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't have to do a lot of research on this, right? Our personal health, our professional health, how we interact with command and the people at work, our finances, our physical health, and our mental health. It all became so very apparent. Um, and then I started writing about each of those areas and kind of putting a presentation together based a lot on my own life experiences.
Mm.
And then, I developed the name of the program, which is Sometimes Heroes Need Help. And I approached, I had come up with a program. It was about 4 hours in length, um, motivational in nature, but really talking about the things that we didn't want to talk about. We don't talk about infidelity.
Right.
We don't talk about our interactions with people at work. We don't talk about finances. We like to let everybody know just how great we're doing. Um,
If we know somebody that drinks a ton, we don't mention it too. We don't talk about their,
we don't talk
hey,
about
you're
the
drinking a
people that
bunch.
no, we
Yeah.
don't talk about the people that have problems with alcohol or addictions. And we certainly don't talk about our mental health and our and our PTS and the thoughts that we have. You don't dare say anything about that because you'll get sidelined. You'll
Yeah.
they'll bench you if you talk about that.
Mhm.
So it was an attempt to normalize some really difficult conversations that I think we need to be having, and we need to remove. We always say, we remove the stigma. No, the the stigma, right? There is no stigma if we talk, if we
Right.
normalize it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so I approached a guy named Larry Jeriger. He was the chief of North Miami. And I was kind of just like running the idea by him. I'm like, hey, he's a great leader. I mean, super solid guy. And I said,
Mhm.
hey, I called him. I wanted to set a meeting with him because I wanted to go to his office and kind of like make a presentation
Right.
just to get some feedback, if I was on track or if, I was way off base. And so I called him and he says, well, what are you thinking? What do you got? I said, well, I want to come in. He goes, well, tell me what your thoughts are. And I told him about, personal, professional, financial, physical, mental health. I talked to him about the philosophy about you making you a priority and the moral obligation that we have to share. And so he goes, I love it. I'll have our training division call you tomorrow and you can set it up for in service.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, like sight unseen. And so I put my program on for their entire department,
Mhm.
and the feedback was phenomenal. And he was just like, whatever I can do to help you, you let me know. And then so I was feeling pretty confident that like this was going to be a thing. Like it was well received. It was making a difference. I was getting a lot of good feedback. And then I went to my old agency and I said, hey, we got a lot of issues. And I said, I think we're spending a lot of time on the wrong things. And I sat down with some command folk, had breakfast, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to roll this program out. And so I rolled out my program for all the sergeants, lieutenants, and captains for my former agency.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about rolling it out for all the deputies right now. And then so, then it just started. One agency turned to two, to three, to four, to five. Um, Speaking for the FBI, going to wellness conferences and keynote speaking and writing a book that complements the program. And it's just,
That's cool.
yeah, man, it's just been taken off. I think, the concept, I think it's sound. It just makes sense. And I think that if, we need to be doing more to support our first responders in these areas. I don't think they need more training on handcuffing or vehicle tactics. I
Right.
think we got that down. I think we need more training on how we navigate life, because if we become better humans,
Hmm.
right, we become better servants, right?
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
the job better if we become better
Yeah.
human beings.
You're gonna be more, because I mean, honestly, we're dealing with people. And if you
Right,
understand how people work and who you are, and you become a little more empathetic to,
right.
somebody's plight,
Yeah.
you're
And guess
going to
what?
be able to help them out better.
Yeah. And guess what? If you have your act together, if you have balance in your life, you're
Yeah.
not going to be the guy that overreacts or underreacts. You're
Right.
going to be the guy that can show some empathy. You're going to be the person that can listen
Hmm.
and then encourage,
Right.
right? But if your life's in turmoil, if you're the first responder that's spiraling and you're showing up to somebody's house,
Yeah.
you just made the situation worse.
Right. I mean, I went to when I went to I had my first SIDS death that I had gone to. And I was still in field training, and they're like, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do is we're gonna let you take the rest of the day off. Get your head, screwed on a little bit tighter, and help yourself out, take a load off, talk to your family, hug your kids, all this different stuff.
Right.
Do that, come back to work, and we're hit the ground running. We'll pick
Right.
up right where we left off. Cool. And it was good. And I was able to do that. Had I gone to that and been bothered by it, and then try to start handling, somebody else's kids, and then I have to go deal with somebody who wants to be obstinate, and I got to try to, what easily could have been a de-escalation where I'm able to talk somebody to do whatever. I'm now dealing with, my emotional explosion. And I'm like, yeah, you
Right.
jerks, because I'm dealing with something I shouldn't be dealing with, first place. However, I have to, because that's my job and that's what we do. So how do you deal with that? You need to get it off your chest. You need to talk about it. You need to open up about it, and you need to have people that are coming around and are seeing, hey, why don't you go ahead and go back to the office, go get some air conditioning or whatever, and go get a soda or something like
Right.
that. Take a load off, eat a sandwich, just take a load off for a minute, and then we can
Right.
get back into this.
Right.
And I think, but if you, like you're saying, if you're dragging now that stuff from home, you can't even get rid of that stuff. So
No.
you're not even wanting to go home. So you got to figure out, how are you dealing with your home life and your personal human life.
Our agencies need to spend more time building relationships with their employees,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they need to be less concerned about building relationships with the community. The relationships with the community will come if we have great relationships with our employees.
Hmm.
They'll be those ambassadors we want them to be.
Right.
Um, I think right now we've got it a little backwards, you know.
Yeah,
But
you go out there and you try to bend to the will of the city council and the business owners and the whatever, and you're okay, guys, we'll do whatever you want. And then you get back, and you just have, hey, you got another IA sitting there waiting for you. You're being called into the
yeah,
sergeant's office. You're getting, whatever the case is, and you're so more worried about, all everything admin's throwing at you, as
yeah,
opposed to worrying about the real problems, people on the
right.
street, or somebody wanting to kill you.
I think it's Richard Branson. He owns Virgin
Yeah.
Airlines, right?
Uh-huh.
He said something, and I'm going to paraphrase. He said something like, um, "If we take care of our employees, we they'll take care of the customers."
Yeah.
Like the focus needs to be on employee wellness, because if you have healthy employees, you don't need to worry about they're gonna take care of the customers. They're gonna do all the things that you want them to do
Right.
automatically.
Yep.
But it first has to start with taking care of the first responders, the employees.
Yeah.
And
And that doesn't mean, and for those of you guys listening, that doesn't mean there's not going to be crap. There's some crap you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have
right,
to, that you're going to have, they're not going, it's not going to be, because we care about you so much, we're not going to give you any tough calls. It doesn't work that way. You're still going to go to have to go to those, you
of
know,
course, of course.
horrible, calls that you don't want to deal with, little kids or whatever the case may be. But
Mm,
but that's where the resiliency comes in at. That's where
100%.
you can do it, and you can do it with support. You got someone helping you out.
Right.
You're not lifting this load by yourself. So, and I think it's important that we remember that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So you're going now coast to coast, mostly down south.
So mostly East Coast, a lot in Florida, obviously, because that's my home. I'm going to Iowa in September. There's a wellness conference there. I have a sneaky feeling I'm going to start working my way out west. I've been networking and speaking with a lot of people on the West Coast.
Uh-huh.
Very,
You
interested in engaging about the program. And so, but yeah, primarily in East Coast kind of context, but
You understand there's no beaches, or you're not going to hear any waves when you're in Iowa, right?
it's all right. They tell me there's a lot of corn.
Okay.
A lot of corn.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never been.
Me neither. I haven't been to
Never
Iowa
been.
either.
I'll take some pictures, bro, and I'll share them with you.
Yeah.
To see,
I'm looking
see what
forward to it.
seeing what we get myself into.
Great. That's exactly what I wanted.
Children of the Corn,
Yeah.
or horror movie or something. I don't know what's going to happen.
So, hey, that's awesome, man. And so you're just going there, caring about other people, wanting to make sure people are good to go, and especially cops, first responders, veterans. It's important. And the fact that you're getting into the FBI now too, that you're able to help with those guys, because those guys, there's a lot of bad rap. Obviously, politics it's just a thing that it doesn't matter. If it's law enforcement, politics is going to ruin it. And they're just going to talk bad about it, and they're going to get the media involved and whatever. But there's a lot of good guys in the FBI that get overlooked as far as that.
Dude, we can't do to the FBI what we allow the public to do to us, which is paint them with a broad brush.
Right. Exactly.
Right? You've got some political nonsense that happens in every organization. It just so happens that when you're the lead law enforcement agency for the country, you're under a bigger microscope, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The guys in the field offices, the guys the SACs trying to run the show, they're regular guys doing the job that want nothing but the best for their people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got some knuckleheads on a national level making some political decisions, doing some things that they shouldn't be doing. You can't blame the whole profession.
Yeah, just like you can't blame every cop is one way or whatever, because it is not that way. Or every doctor's out. You think about it back. Gosh, it was maybe back in the 90s. Since we were still talking about that, but maybe late 80s, they were always talking about malpractice. And I remember seeing commercials. You'd stay home sick from school, and there'd be, are you the victim of malpractice? Call these weird named guys lawyer, team, and they'll get you $1 billion. And, this whole thing. And everybody was doctors were getting a bad name, and they've kind of moved away from that. But, malpractice is still a thing, but we got to focus on cops, because cops are trying to hold people accountable, and I don't know. It is what it is, I guess.
Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. And I know that we're getting to that point where, we've been going for, 2 hours, something like that. Yeah. We're over 2 hours at this point. And, and I know for a fact, we didn't even get to some of the things that we really want to talk about, some of the really nitty gritty stories and blah, blah, blah. And you probably have so much more in life and so many more experiences that you can share and help other guys out with. But I'm thinking that if that's the case, then they need to go to one of your classes. They need to hear more about you.
Yeah. And I tell you, the class, the class, it's something, man. I've been really humbled by the response, man.
That's cool.
I stand in a room of total strangers, and at the end, there's a line of guys wanting to talk and, buy the book and hang out and talk about stuff. And it's, at the end of the day, man, we're all the same.
Yeah.
We all have the same struggles. We all have the same issues. hopes, dreams, wants, man. The only thing that sets me aside a little bit is I'm okay talking about it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really that's the only defining difference is that I know who I am. I know what I've done. I'm not embarrassed to talk about things that I'm ashamed of.
Right.
I'm not that guy anymore. But I see the value in sharing and with the hopes that we add value to people's lives, man. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
adding value to people's lives, man.
Yeah. We that's our intention anyways.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is working for some folks. So how can people get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of the book? How can they hear more about you and they want to listen to your Boston accent?
Oh my
How do
gosh.
they
They
do that?
don't smash themselves in the head with a hammer if they hear any more of me. Yeah, brother. So I have a website, lawenforcementlifecoach.com. Yeah, it's really short, all one word, lawenforcementlifecoach.com. And on the website, there are scheduling links for conversations and podcasts. And you can pick up the book on the website as well. There's links to it on Amazon. Um, the name of the book is Surviving Self-Inflicted Wounds, A Deputy's Life of Redemption. And you can get it on the website. You can go to Amazon. It's on Amazon. And yeah, basically anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can go to the website. We can have a conversation. If you'd like me to come to your agency, we can work on that as well. And yeah, man, it's like kind of a one stop shop.
And what about if they want to find you, you on social media and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I spent my entire adult life hiding, um, not engaging in social media. And the minute I retired and started a business, um, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other platforms. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook, um, law enforcement life coach John Kelly, and yeah, man, I'm out there on the
Yes.
social media thing.
On the social interwebs. That's good.
Yes,
So
Gary.
perfect, man. That's awesome. And I can't help but just think that it's cool that you're doing that and making sure other people are good to go. And along those lines, you're um those of you guys that are out there doing that are, that even goes to like nurses and teachers and stuff that we always consider on the show. Uh, you go through crap too, and that you need to take care of yourself because without you, how are we going to take care of ourselves? We need you to be helping us out. So thank you so much. Thank you to our firefighters and our EMTs, first responders. You guys, without you, I mean, honestly, you got to take care of yourself as well. So without you, we wouldn't have what we have, and I appreciate it. Our veterans out there, thank you so much for keeping our country safe and what it is, guys on the front line. You need to take care of yourself as well, and I can't stress that enough. Watch out for each other. You do it physically, do it mentally as well. And our police officers, thank you. You have our gratitude. You guys, everybody that goes and make sure that other people are safe at your own detriment sometimes to help other people. Without you, we wouldn't have what we have. And like John says, if not me, then who? And those are you guys. And thank you so much for doing all that. So you have our appreciation, you have our gratitude. And if you want to get a hold of the What's a Hero podcast, you can get us on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all those guys. You find the website at the What's a Hero podcast.buzzsprout.com. Get all of our prior episodes, has links to your favorite social media platform or your favorite podcast platform, which will then help you download. You can subscribe to the episodes and to the podcast, download the episodes. You have them there with you when you're going to go travel in an airplane and go see John in real life. You can listen to the podcast. On the way back, you listen to his podcast and everything's better. So nevertheless,
awesome.
Have it with you, take it with you. And just thanks for being who you are and being a supporter of law enforcement, first responders, or being a first responder and or in law enforcement yourself, thank you so much. And not to say that law enforcement's not first responders, but I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot, special spot for.
A bias.
That's right. I have a bias for law enforcement. So, John, you got anything? Any final words? Any final thoughts? Final love for the listeners out there?
No, just, at the end of the day, first responders spend all day taking care of other people to the point of exhaustion. At the end of the day, don't forget to leave some time for yourself. That you taking care of you really needs
Yeah.
to supersede everything else, because obviously, we've heard it before. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't, can't take care of others. So
Yep.
make sure you've got that balance, and that you love yourself and you take care of yourself. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. It's been a treat. I can't tell you enough how honored I am to have you on, and it's been an absolutely great conversation. We've actually, John and I have been talking with each other all week in regards to this show, in regards to a couple other things, and I can't wait to see what kind of work we're going to be able to do together if we ever can. So, keep up the
Sounds
good work,
good.
John, and it's awesome.
you.
It's awesome that you're putting other people first, and that's there's not enough people out there doing that. So
It's been my pleasure, Ken. Thanks for having me on.
absolutely. So for John Kelly, I've been Ken Frownfelter, and this has been the What's a Hero podcast. We are clear.